What is up everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we'll be playing and benchmarking the Callisto Protocol on our beloved RTX 3060 Ti to see how well the game performs. As you can see, we're running the latest drivers and the graphics card is 3060 Ti. Now before we jump into it, I would like to ask you to like this video and subscribe to my channel as it would help me a lot, and you can always unsubscribe later if you want to. Now with that out of the way, let's get started. So first of all, we'll run the game at native 1440p resolution with every graphical setting maxed out at ultra. I'm gonna run the in-game benchmark first to get the initial impression and then play the game myself. As you can see, I'm not utilizing any upscaling, so the resolution is native 2K. Now going through the in-game benchmarks, you can see how much the game stutters and runs really poorly. Keep an eye on the frame time graph and you can see the frame times are all over the place and we're fluctuating between 30 and 60 FPS. This stuttering problem will be the common theme throughout this video that you will notice in the gameplay as well. Also, one thing I forgot to mention is that I won't be using any ray tracing in this video because there is really no point, as the game is an optimization mess right now. Here you can see we're dropping below 60 FPS again, so it's definitely not a smooth experience, which I'm sure all of us were hoping for. Now playing the game myself, the performance is no different than the in-game benchmark, and you will see that in just a second. The frame time graph is all over the place at times and the stuttering is real. It's it's quite hard to get immersed when the game drops frames every time you go around a corner. I've been told by some people that it's because of de novo issue, but I'm not sure. I think it's more of an optimization issue. Here again you will see the stutters when I get closer to that pipe and it explodes, and that happens throughout the game. This game just doesn't handle the effects as effectively as it should, considering it's a AAA title from a popular company. It gets even worse during the cutscenes when with the FPS dropping even in the 20s, which is such a buzz killer. You may say that we're still above 60 FPS for the most part, but it's pointless since the FPS drops more often than not. As you can see, we dropped into the 20s and look at that massive spike in the frame time graph. That's just ridiculous. Coming up is a cutscene and a little bit of gameplay, so you will see it gets even worse than this. Right here we will see a massive spike in the frame time graph demonstrating the stutters during this cutscene and the following gameplay section. As you can see, these stutters completely ruin the vibe and the feel of the game, and certainly ruins the atmospheric nature of the game. It's that bad of a deal. The game is pretty much unplayable at this point, but I somehow managed to finish this section of the gameplay. But anyways, let's try the 2K resolution with an upscaling method now. Now let's try AMD FSR 2.0 upscaling with quality preset. I have to mention that this game does not support NVIDIA DLSS, so obviously I can't test it, but maybe we will get it in the future. Again, trying the in-game benchmark tool first, and you can see FSR doesn't actually help as much as I expected it to. We are still seeing these spikes in the frame time graph and obviously these stuttering issues again, so you're not really gaining a massive boost in performance by utilizing this upscaling method, which is a shame, but it's whatever. Whenever you turn around a corner, the game just stutters like hell, and that's pretty much the common theme throughout the game, as you might have noticed already. But let's get over it real quick and play the game ourselves to see any potential changes in the gameplay. Now I'm playing the game myself and I am still experiencing these stutters, though they're not as bad as they were before using FSR 2.0. We still see a spike in the graph and that pipe explodes, but again it's not as bad. So is it an improvement? Maybe, maybe not. Anyway, FSR does help, but just a tiny bit. Remember, we're using the quality preset, so the upscaling method will try to give us a better image quality rather than a massive performance boost, which is just obvious, but I had to say it. It would be interesting to try the performance mode, but not in this video as it will get really lengthy. And again, these stutters are there as you can see in the graph above, but they're not as bad, so FSR is at least doing a decent job in getting rid of those annoying massive stutters so far. The FPS during this cutscene are okayish and definitely an improvement over the performance of the native resolution, so maybe just maybe 1440p with FSR on quality is the best way to play Callisto Protocol on RTX 3060 Ti. Maybe. Let's try native 1080p without any upscaling after this sequence ends, and hopefully we will see an improvement in the performance since we all know that 3060 Ti is a beast at 1080p resolution. This gameplay sequence should end in a second. Thankfully we are still above 60 FPS at the very least, which is a relief, so I'm happy about that. Now finally it's time to test the Callisto Protocol on 1080p resolution without any upscaling and every graphical setting maxed out, of course. As you can see, the upscaling is turned off. Yes, you guessed it. I will again try the in-game benchmark tool first, and you also probably guessed that we were gonna see massive spikes in the frame time graph, and that is right, we are experiencing the stuttering as well as low frames per second, but I told you before that it will be the theme throughout the gameplay, so please bear with me, alright? In some scenes we can experience smooth gameplay, but we are constantly seeing drops in the frame rate every now and then, making it hard for us to get immersed in this game. I can only hope for optimization patches because this game deserves it more than anything. Now let's try to play the game ourselves. Look at those FPS, I just wish they were consistent throughout the game without any annoying stutters. Again, spikes in the frame time graph when that pipe explodes. We go from 113 to 94 FPS, so that tells us how bad these stutters can be during the gameplay. Overall, I have to say it's performing okay-ish at 1080p resolution without any upscaling, of course. I expected this kind of performance at 1080p from the 3060 Ti, and it's amazing to see it. If only the optimization of this game were better, we would have had no issues enjoying the gameplay whatsoever. Time for that cutscene again that stutters like crazy for some reason, but this time the performance is very good compared to when we were testing the native 1440p resolution. We are well above 60 FPS even in this rather demanding cutscene, and that's great to see. Overall, a quite decent experience playing the Callisto Protocol on RTX 3060 Ti at 1080p resolution. Just going through this sequence to see if we drop below 60 FPS, but it seems we will be fine and hopefully not drop below 60 frames per second at all. Yeah, we're well above 60 FPS, so definitely a smooth experience at 1080p, which is what we want from this game. I have mixed feelings about the Callisto Protocol. It runs great at 1080p on 3060 Ti, but when we crank up the resolution, it stutters like hell when I walk and turn a corner, even when the ray tracing is turned off. Imagine the scenes if we turn that on, the game would probably just crash to the desktop, I'd imagine. Overall, the Callisto Protocol is a stuttery mess as of day one. FSR does help with performance but not massively. There is no Nvidia DLSS either. So I'd suggest you to wait for the patches and probably buy this game at a discount. That's it for the video, and I hope you enjoyed it. So please hit that subscribe button and like the video if you enjoyed it. Dislike if you did not. Have a good rest of your day or night, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.